Good morning, students. Today I am here with the second part of chapter Outcomes of Democracy. As in previous video, we studied about democracy and how democracy functions. So first outcome we discussed that was democracy is an accountable, responsive and legitimate government because ultimately democracy is accountable and responsive to citizen because citizen elect the democratic government. So the second outcome of democracy that is called the economic growth and development. The present government are known as welfare government. Basic task of the government is to work for the upliftment of weaker section. That is called economic growth. Yes, if we make a comparative study between democratic country and non-democratic country between 1950 to 2000. During these 50 years, we have observed the non-democratic country score good in economic development comparatively to democratic country. The one main point of non-democratic country, non-democratic country means the dictatorship, military ruler, religious ruler. So they take quick decision. And in democracy, the decision making process is slow because in a democracy, the decision taken through a mechanism. The bill goes to parliament, discussions. So after a long discussions, the bill passed. So there is somewhat delay. But when we find such significant difference in the rate of economic growth between countries under dictatorship and a democracy, it is better to prefer democracy as it has several other positive outcomes. But thereafter also, democracy is better form of government because there are better outcomes. So, the economic outcome of democracy is not good comparatively to non-democratic country, but thereafter also a democratic government work for the upliftment of rural people and work for the economic development of a nation through a mechanism. The next outcome that is called reduction of inequality and poverty. Okay. In a democracy, all people are equal. There is the political equality. It is not possible to bring economic equality because there is gap between rich and poor. But there is completely political equality because one man, one vote, no one is above the law, everybody is equal before the law. So this is called the political equality that is clearly visible in democracy. So there is reduction of inequality. All people get equal opportunity in society. They have equal opportunity for their economic as well as social development. Democracy are based on political equality, no doubt. All individuals have equal way in electing rep. So whenever we are going to appear in election, all have equal right. One man, one vote. While he is a president, value is one. While he is an ordinary worker, his value is also one. So this shows political equality. Parallel to the process of bringing individual into the political arena, on an equal footing we find growing economic equality. A small number of ultra-rich enjoy a high disproportionate share of wealth. No doubt there is gap between rich and poor in our country. Few people are very rich, they are enjoying a lot of economy, but large number of people in our country are below the poverty line. The bottom of the society have very little to depend upon. A large number of people are poor and they are not getting even two-time meal. In actual life, democracy do not appear to be very successful in reducing economic inequalities. Again, no doubt to say, to reduce the economic inequalities, democracy is not very successful. In class 9th, I am reminding you, you have studied about poverty in India. Rural poverty is studied, urban poverty, and the cause of poverty. Okay, the poor constitute a large proportion of our voters. The poor people constitute a large number of voters. 40% people are below the poverty line. That is why no political party want to lose these poor people to this vote bank. 40% people in our country below the poverty line. That is why no political party want to lose this voter bank. That is why the political party work for the upliftment of these poor people through various programs. Like the government of India running a number of programs, free rationing program, then Ujjwala program, Jan Dhan Yojana program, recently Pradhan Mantri Kisan Yojana program. So all these projects of government are for the upliftment of these poor people. And these poor people are also a voter bank. At the time of election, they cast a vote, and every political party wants votes. So, as far as we are concerned about the poor people in the country, the government is launching various programs even at this time when the country is suffering from the corona. Government is providing free meal through the ration shop, PDS system, public distribution system. So this is also the part of that because the government do not want to lose its voter bank. So that is called reduction of inequality and poverty. So number of poverty alleviation program are in our country like the Manrega. It is very popular program Manrega 2005 where in class 9th already you studied about it. The next outcome of democracy that is the accommodation of social diversity. In a democratic country, there are linguistic diversity, religious diversity, social diversity, economic diversity. But there is proper opportunity to accommodate the social diversity. For example, you can see in Indian democracy, India is the largest democratic country of the world. And here are the different religious people, multi-religious people, Hindu here, Muslim here, Jain, Buddha, Christian, Sikh, all the religious people belong to India, but all are living peacefully without any discrimination because government of India means the constitution of our country say India is a secular country. That is why on the base of religion there is no any discrimination. So all the religious people are living here peacefully. Except that we have the social diversity like the poor people, those who called untouchable. So government accommodate them, given them reservations, even in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha seats, as well as in government job. The government is providing them equal opportunity for their economic as well as social development. So this is called the social accommodation of social diversity. So whatever differences we have, in a democratic country, all the differences are solved. But the example of Sri Lanka reminds us that a democracy must fulfill two conditions in order to achieve this outcome. As in first chapter we studied about the Sri Lankan problem, Tamils and Sri Lankan problem. So ultimately the Sri Lanka went in the civil war and it was very destructive war. So whenever a government formed a policy, it should keep in mind the first point. It is necessary to understand that democracy is not simple ruled by majority opinion. The majority always need to work with the minority so that government function to represent the general view. Majority and minority opinion are not permanent. The people, those who are in minority means those who are less in number religiously. In coming time, they may be in majority. So whenever the government frame any policy, it should be keep in mind all people are equal. There should be no difference on the base of minority and majority as happened in Sri Lanka, and the result was very drastic. Second, it is also necessary that rule by majority does not become rule by majority community in terms of religion or race or linguistic group. So whenever a country is being ruled by a majority group, so religion or race or linguistic group rule by majority means that in case of every decision or in case of every election, different person and groups may and can form a majority. So majority always cannot be majority, it may be in minority. So whenever the policies are framed by the majority, always the interest of minority should keep in mind in a democracy. Democracy remains democracy only as long as every citizen has a chance to being in majority. So democracy is democracy, beta. Everybody have equal right there. If someone is barred from being in majority on the basis of birth, then the democratic rule cease to be accommodative for that person or group. If anybody and any group is being barred from being a majority on the basis of birth, so there can be problem. So these problems cannot be seen in democracy because in a democratic country, the accommodation of social diversity, whatever social diversity in society, they are accommodated by a democratic government. Then comes Dignity and freedom of the citizen. In a democracy, the people have the dignity. Democracy stands much superior to any other form of government in promoting dignity and freedom of individual. In a democracy, individual has some freedom. Every individual want to receive respect from fellow being. Everybody want to receive respect with them. Even you, I, everybody. Often conflict arise among individuals because some feel that they are not treated with due respect. The passion of respect and freedom are the base of democracy. The passion of respect and freedom, this is the base of democracy, dear. Democracy throughout the world have recognized this, at least in principle. This has been achieved in various degrees of various democracy. So dignity of citizen is adopted by almost the democracy of the world, and this can be seen in many countries also. For societies which have been built for long on the base of subordination and domination, it is not a simple matter to recognize that all individuals are equal. But there are many societies in the world where there is no equality, but they are also trying to give respect to every citizen. Take the example of women. For a long time, women were not getting the proper right. You have learned in France, the women of France got the right to cast a vote in 1946. So the struggle hard, the women of world struggled hard because for a long time the society was male dominant. So in that male dominant society, the women were denied by their basic right, but they struggled hard. They started feminist movement and ultimately they got equality. Now you can see in India, our constitution says there is no gender discriminations. There are equal opportunities for men and women. So long struggle by women have created some sensitivity. Today the respect of and equal treatment of women are necessary ingredient of democratic society. So today wherever there are the democratic countries, there is no difference between men and women. But once the principle is recognized, it becomes easier to women to wage a struggle against what is now unacceptable legally and morally. In a non-democratic setup, this unacceptability would not have legal base because the principle of individual freedom and dignity would not have the legal and moral force there. If we see in the non-democratic country, there is no individual freedom. There is differences between gender. India has strengthened the claim of the disadvantaged and discriminated caste for equal status and equal opportunity. There are instances still of caste-based inequities and autocracy, but these lack the moral and legal foundations. Perhaps it is recognition that make ordinary citizens value their democratic rights. But in a democracy, all people have their political right, and this brings dignity, and this brings freedom to citizens. Expectations from democracy also function as the criteria of judging any democratic country. Everybody expects a lot from democratic country. Whenever there is the election, we cast a vote with great hope. We have a lot of expectation from the government. What is most distinctive about democracy is that its examination never gets over. A democratic country always in examinations because the new conditions come in society, new problems come in society. That's why the examination of democracy is never ending. In every step, the democracy faces the examination. For example, presently, the country is suffering from the COVID-19 and government is fighting strongly. Again, this is an examination. So the democracy have examination every level. It's examination never ending. As democracy pass one test, it produces another test. As people get some benefit of democracy, they ask for more and want to make democracy even better. If some people get benefit from democracy, they expect more. That is why when we ask people about the way democracy functions, they will always come up with more expectations. No one is happy with the democracy. They have more expectations. And many people complain about the democratic setup. The fact that people are complaining in itself is a testimony to the success of democracy. So whenever people are complaining, it is also the testimony to the success of democracy. It shows that people have developed awareness and the ability to expect and to look critically at power holders and the high and the mighty. A public expression of dissatisfaction with democracy shows the success of the democratic project. It transforms people from the status of subjects into that of citizen. Most individuals today believe that their vote makes a difference to the way the government is run and to their own self-interest. So whenever we cast the vote, we expect a lot from the government. So democracy is always in the examinations. If it pass one test, the another test comes. And if we fulfill our expectation, we require more. So this is the outcome of democracy dear. The basic outcomes of democracy, that is accountable, responsive and legitimate government. Second, economic growth and development. Third, reduction of inequality and poverty. Fourth, accommodation of social diversity. And fifth, dignity and freedom of the citizens. So these are the outcomes of democracy. But the examination is always in democracy. The examination of democracy never gets over. Because in every step, the democracy have to appear in examinations. So my dear student, these are the outcomes of democracy. I hope you are understanding the points. And again, I am requesting you please once read the lesson, all concept will clear. If there is any query, any problem, please you can call me. Thank you.